The countdown is on, but you're not alone. This is Countdown to College, your weekly guide from Education Quest Foundation, here to help you plan, apply, and pay for college one step at a time. I'm your host, Gage, and today I am happy to be joined by Rachel Freeman, a college planning specialist here at Education Quest. Hi, Rachel. Thank you for joining us.
I am so happy to be here. I'm so excited.
Senior year, as we all know, can be, very overwhelming to say the
Yeah.
least. There are scholarship deadlines, college applications, and senioritis, which I don't know about you, but I definitely suffered from that.
Oh, it was terrible. I did not do well.
So now we have tips for y'all to avoid what we did.
Right.
So we're going to lay out all the top things that every senior should know this new school year. So, Rachel, let's just get started. What are the most important things high school seniors should be doing this fall to plan for their future?
So, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you start applying to the colleges that you're interested in. You may have already gone on a couple college visits. You may have talked to some of the colleges, asked those hard questions, and now it's time to start really applying to those schools. Apply to as many as you want, as many as you can, um, just so you have options. If you do have one school that you're really, really wanting to go to, make sure that you have a plan B just in case that school doesn't work out. The second thing I will say is it's time to start searching for scholarships. You don't want to do this later in the year, so you really are going to want to start doing it the beginning of senior year, just so that you have access to all the scholarships that are going to be available to you for college. And then lastly, you're going to want to start thinking about and filing the FAFSA, which opens October 1st. That way you can get that financial aid to help you go to college.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about the FAFSA coming up
Yeah.
here. It's FAFSA season at Education Quest. So,
Yes.
and I liked that is a great advice too, is to apply for as many colleges as you can. Even if you have your dream school, there was like
Yeah.
some schools that were like on my, not really like on my radar, but I was like, let me throw an application just in case, because you never know like where you're
Right.
going to end up. So,
You never know. And sometimes later on in the year, something could happen where that school just doesn't work out for you anymore. It's just not the
hmm
right fit for you. So always having that plan B, maybe even a plan C, is going to be really helpful going forward.
yeah. And so, Rachel, talking about colleges, what advice do you have for students who are still undecided about what colleges they want to apply to or pick, or whether even college is the right path for them?
Yeah, the thing that I did, and I don't know if you did this, is I made a pros and cons list. So, like, what works best for me at this college? What do I not like about this college? And then I started comparing and contrasting to see what colleges would be the best fit for me. If you're still really up in the air, you don't have that like perfect college that you're interested in, still do so a little more exploration as well. Like you can totally still explore that senior year too to see if you can find a college that would be a better fit for you. If you are iffy on whether college is for you, you can start out at maybe a smaller college than what you're wanting to go to. But also, again, I think making that pros and cons list, if you're wanting to go into the workforce, what does that look like for you? And what are the pros for you on that? Versus what are the pros to going to college instead of going into the workforce for you? So I think like the pros and cons list for me is really the best way to kind of help you make that decision because that way visually too, because I'm kind of a visual person, you can see okay, maybe this college or this path is has a lot more pros than this path does. I know that's kind of how I start making my decisions and how I made some of my decisions senior year. And it all kind of worked out well for me. So that would be my advice. Like make that list, just kind of go through what pros there are to what you to one path and then what are the cons to that path as well so that you can just kind of see what would be best for you.
I love a pros and cons list.
Me too. It works every time. Every
Yeah, I mean,
time.
it just helped me a lot too, because you mentioned you're a visual person.
Hmm.
And so you can go on these campus tours and you can talk to the missions reps. But I kind of forget all that stuff. Like as soon as I walk out, like it kind of goes in one
Right.
ear out the other sometimes. And so being able
Hmm.
to look at the price of this college and that college and oh, this college offers free dining on these days. This college doesn't offer
Right.
any free dining, that sort of thing. So
Or
definitely.
like tutoring services, or if there's like something in campus life that you're really, really wanting, and one college offers it and the other doesn't. Like it's just kind of helpful
Hmm.
to just sit and like have it all laid out for yourself.
And so, Rachel, speaking of these applications for college and also scholarship deadlines, because those are going to be coming up pretty soon for seniors also, how can students stay organized and on top of all these deadlines during such a busy year?
Put it in your calendar. I tell students all the time when I do presentations, like in your calendar, mark the deadline like a week before the deadline actually is. That way, you are applying for that scholarship or doing that application way ahead the actual deadline. Because what I find is sometimes students leave it to the last minute. It's like the day of the deadline. It's like, okay, I got to go ahead and apply, or I got to write this out, or, whatever it is. And then they run into either like technical problems or problems with the application themselves, or they run out of time. So I always just say, mark it in your calendar at least 1 week before the deadline to kind of trick yourself into doing it before the deadline actually passes. Another great way is if you're looking for scholarships and those deadlines too. I know a lot of students find it helpful to make a spreadsheet for themselves to keep track of which scholarships they are applying for. That way, again, visually, you can go ahead and see, okay, I've applied for this scholarship, this scholarship, this scholarship. They're this much money, and you can really just kind of see what you have already applied for and what you are applying for going forward.
Spreadsheets helped me out so much. And I know
Yeah,
not everyone's, an Excel lover, but
for
you can
sure.
even just make like a simple, you can even just draw it in a notebook. Like just keep track of it
Right.
somewhere so that you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And it helps you keep track of what you have already applied for. So you're not like freaking out later on and being
Yeah.
like, did I apply for that or not? Yeah.
And so students are applying for scholarships now. What are your best tips for finding and applying for scholarships that students actually have a chance of winning? Because very overwhelming time of the year. Nobody knows where to look. It can feel very, I just remember being very anxious during that time of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of my like big things what I tell students is when you are looking at scholarships and looking to apply to scholarships, always read what the requirements are. Not every scholarship is going to be the best fit for you. And we don't want you wasting your time applying for a scholarship that you had no chance in getting because you didn't meet all the requirements. So before you apply to any scholarship, make sure that you're reading over the requirements to make sure that you qualify for that scholarship. Also, I would say talk to your school. So, your school counselor will have a list of what are called local scholarships that you can apply to. Now, those are going to be more local, so that they're not going to be as competitive as the nationwide or even statewide scholarships that you'll be competing for. Lastly, I'll say apply for the little scholarships. Like, I know $500 does not seem like a lot of money in the long run, but it really, really does save you a lot of money. And people aren't applying for the scholarships as much as the ones that are a little bit more than that. So, still apply to those smaller scholarships because you have a better chance of winning those as well.
Yeah, that's something I really wish somebody had told me during my senior year. So
Yeah.
I was very much stuck on like the number on each scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, how's that going to help me pay off like my thousands of dollars of tuition? But
Right.
it would
Right.
have
But if
added
you
up.
if you get three $500 scholarships, that's
Yeah,
$1,500, already. So it does really add up. So make sure that you are still applying to those little scholarships too.
yeah. And so we're going to shift gears a little bit, Rachel, and kind of talk about end of the year, finals, exams, the dreaded ACT and SAT. So when should students retake the ACT or SAT, and how can they decide if it's worth it to retake it?
Yeah, so while a lot of schools are test optional now, meaning you don't have to submit your ACT or SAT scores, a lot of them will still use it for scholarship consideration. And you should still able to see that on their scholarship page on what ACT or SAT score they're looking for those scholarships. So go ahead and take a look at those pages of the schools that you're interested in, and then you can kind of decide whether or not you want to retake the test. A lot of them will also have a certain testing date that they'll take up to. So if you really are interested in retaking the ACT or SAT, talk to your college, see what's the last testing date they will take. That way you can kind of plan for it. Okay, if their last testing date is in January, then I'm going to take it in November. And then if it doesn't work out the way I want, I'm going to take it again in December. So that way you can kind of have a game plan going forward of whether or not you're going to retake it and how many chances you do have to retake it before that deadline.
Yeah, I always recommend. I feel like, back when I was in high school, I was like, I don't even want to take the ACT. You had to take
Right.
the state required one. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do like one or two more. But it was actually on my
Mhm.
second retake, which I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do because I was a cheerleader in high school. And so I was up all night at the game before, woke
Right.
up super late, it was really groggy, wasn't prepared. And that ended up being my best test score. So, like,
See?
even if you are, I don't know, slept way past your alarm, don't even want to retake it
Right.
anymore, just go do it because you don't know what score you're going to get in the end.
Exactly. Yeah. And it could really benefit you in the long run.
And so we've been talking about scholarships and kind of hinting towards this next big topic we have, which is how to pay for college, because that is pretty much number two to first picking a college. Then you got to figure out how to pay
Right.
for it. So, um, what do students need to know about the FAFSA, which we've already touched on a little bit, and when should they file it?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing to know about the FAFSA is that it's completely free to fill out. So you don't have to pay anything. And what you get back is you can get grant money, which is free money to pay for college, and you get loan options to help you pay for college as well. The FAFSA is like super easy now. I don't think a lot of people realize that, as it does go ahead and take some information from the IRS for you so that you don't have to plug in all the numbers like we used to. I'm sure, Gage, you remember like stressing with like your parents sitting there being like, I don't know what this means. So it's a lot easier now to fill out. In my experience with students and parents, it takes about 10-15 minutes to actually fill out the full form. The FAFSA opens October 1st. So you can start filing FAFSA on October 1st. Um, and then lastly, I'll say you just want to file the FAFSA as soon as you can. I'm not saying that when the FAFSA opens up October 1st, you have to file it on October 1st, but just as soon as possible. A lot of grants, so that free money, are first come, first serve for people who have that eligibility through the FAFSA. And so you want to make sure that you're filing your FAFSA as soon as possible so that you're not losing out on that free money. So, like I said, doesn't have to be on that October 1st date, but definitely as soon as possible.
Yeah, and like I said at the start of the episode, we'll have plenty of resources,
Yeah.
videos, demos, and everything for the FAFSA coming soon. You can find all that on educationquest.org. Or you can even schedule an appointment with a lovely college planning
Yes.
specialist like Rachel.
Yes. We'd love to see you.
And so these students will file their FAFSAs. We'll get more into the weeds with it in future episodes. But in the end, in the spring, you'll get some financial aid offers from your
Yeah.
colleges that you applied to. So, what are some smart ways to compare these financial aid offers, especially gift aid versus like your student loans?
Yeah. So the financial aid offers is really going to break down everything that the college is going to expect you to pay. So you're going to have those tuition and fees, room and board, book supplies, all that good stuff listed on there. And then what they're going to do is they're going to show you all the gift aid that you receive. So that's all that free money, any grants and scholarships. After that, they're going to show you what the total looks like before you add loans. So this is a really great way to see, okay, how much am I getting before I even take out loans? And then finally, they'll add on those loans so then you can see, okay, if I did decide to take out my loans, how much the cost will be. You can send your FAFSA to up to, I believe, 20 schools on the FAFSA form. Not saying do that, but you most certainly can. And every school will send you back a financial aid offer. I recommend sitting down and literally, like I said, I'm a visual person. So literally like spread them out and look at how much it is on that after that gift aid has been applied before loans has been applied. That way, it gives you a really, really good idea of what you will be paying for essentially out of pocket for those schools. Now, every school kind of differs on their cost as well. So sometimes we have students who apply to private colleges and they get more gift aid than they do to a public college, but that cost still might be higher. So don't just look at, okay, I'm getting this much in gift aid. That means that I have to go to that school because it has the most, right? You want to make sure that you're looking at that out of pocket cost on each of those financial aid letters because that's really what you're going to be paying either through loans or like on a payment plan or genuinely just out of pocket. So just because a school is giving you a ton of money to go there doesn't necessarily mean that that is the most cost effective school. So lay them all out, see how much after each gift aid has been applied, how much that will be before they add on loans or anything like that.
I hope everyone was writing down every single word you said because that was so helpful. I just remember being so overwhelmed because you get so many
Yeah.
financial aid offers, especially if you apply to a lot of colleges. And so
Hmm.
laying them out, I think, is really great advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the transition from high school to college is a pretty big life transition. It can
Hmm.
be very chaotic, it can be very overwhelming, very stressful. Or, I mean, some people are just go with the flow, so it could be kind of chill. But I feel like in general, it's still a pretty big transition for most people. And
Yeah.
so, what kind of like life skills should seniors focus on learning before they leave home for college or the workforce?
I think self-discipline is like the biggest thing because the huge transition between high school to college is that there's no one to tell you what to do. So if you don't go to class, there's no one who's going to get mad at you for not going to class. If you don't do your homework or your assignments, your professor is not going to be mad at you for not doing your assignments. So you actually have to take it upon yourself and go to class. You have to take it upon yourself and do the assignments because there's no one watching over you to tell you that that is what you need to do. You're not forced. You're not forced in high school really either, but you're not forced to be there and no one's going to come look after like looking for you, you know what I mean? Like the professor's not going to be like, Gage, why weren't you in class today? So having that self-discipline of being like, okay, I'm going to go to class every single day. If that means that you need to buy yourself a little treat as a reward for going to class, and that's just what you have to do. If you have to set 20 alarms to make sure that you get up and you're going to class and completing your assignments, or setting 30 reminders that you have to complete your assignment, or like I do that little treat thing of like, okay, if I finish this assignment, I can go get a coffee. Like that's that's what I do. And I think that's a really, really important skill that students are going to have to learn in that transition between high school and college, because there's literally no one is going to tell you you have to be in class, you have to finish these assignments. So self-discipline, you have to have that inner determination. Know why you're there. Remind yourself, why am I here right now? What is the end goal? And hopefully that'll help you kind of get that push to do what you need to do later.
Yeah, there will be, especially if you're going to a school in Nebraska, there will be some days in the winter when it's cold
Yes.
outside and there's snow on the ground that you're gonna want to stay in your dorm room.
Yes,
But go to
yes, you're not
class. Go to
going to,
class. You're paying
yes,
for it.
go to class, you're paying for it. That's also a really great motivator too. Like you look at your bill and look at that tuition and fees, that's what you're paying to be there.
Hmm.
Um, so if that's what motivates you is that you're paying that much to be in that class, then that's what motivates you. And it'll work, promise. Just got it. Just it's a hard transition, but once you get used to it, you'll be able to do it.
Yeah. And so speaking of, motivation and self-discipline, let's apply that to the senior year now, because we talked about
Yeah.
senioritis a little bit in the intro. How can students stay motivated when graduation is so close? Because I remember it being so hard.
Yeah. It was I also same. It was I I was horrible. But I think you have to remember what you've worked for this whole time. You know, you've gone 3 years working hard to get to where you are, and you want to make sure that it pays off. So if you slack that last year, it kind of doesn't give yourself credit for the last 3 years that you've been working really hard to do too. I always think about, like I ran track 1 year in fifth grade. And I always think about when my coaches always said, you want to make sure that you sprint through the finish line. You should be running your hardest at the end of that finish line. Because there's someone right behind you that's going to creep up on you and take that scholarship or take that spot at that college. So you want to make sure that you are really going through the finish line. Run your hardest at the end, and it'll really pay off, and you'll be really proud of yourself at the end.
Okay, track reference.
Yes, yes.
All right, Rachel, what are just some of your final words of advice that you would give to seniors who are feeling overwhelmed by all the decisions and all the deadlines?
Have fun. Like this is your last year where you're not considered like an adult and have to do everything by yourself. So just have fun. Relish in the memories. I know it's overwhelming. I know there's a lot of decisions. I know there's a lot of deadlines, but also like just take a moment and appreciate where you are, where you've come from. Um, and also know that you're not alone. All your peers are kind of going through the same thing too. So lean on each other when you are feeling overwhelmed, or if you don't know what decision to make, talk it out with your friends. If there is a deadline coming up that you're kind of like, ooh, it's crunch time, maybe go on like a study date with your friend and you both work on it or work on something. Like, really just lean on each other because you're not going through it by yourself. Like, your other peers are also overwhelmed by the decisions and by the deadlines. And then, like I said, also just have fun. Senior year is meant to be like, I know is one of my best memories. So senior year is like a really, really great and fun time. And it's like, I feel like it's the year you remember the most. Like I remember the most as a senior.
Hmm.
So have fun and also don't forget to lean on each other, take a breath, take a moment, be in the moment.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Rachel. This was great.
Yes. Oh, great.
Yeah, everyone, literally write down Rachel's advice immediately after this episode. Stick to it too, and you'll be fine. You'll be perfect.
Yes.
All right. Well, to our audience, if you ever need help with anything college related, contact an Education Quest office near you for free help. You can find our contact information or schedule an appointment at educationquest.org. While you are there, also make sure you sign up for the weekly Countdown to College email, which is filled with college tips and tricks. And help us get out this message to as many students and families as possible by subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform and hitting the like button on this episode. Thank you for watching and listening, and we will see you next week.